Hey everyone, I'm John Lynn, the founder and chief editor at Healthcare IT Today. We're excited to bring you another in our series of interviews with top leaders in health IT. We're here at the DirectTrust Conference, and our guest is Kenny Romo. He's Global Director at ETHERFAX. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you, John, and thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into a lot of the work you're doing with DirectTrust and a number of efforts around, taking next level fax, I would kind of describe it. But before we go there,
right?
Tell me about EtherFAX Secure Exchange Network.
Okay, so I've been in this business, John, now for over 25 years, and I'm sure you've interviewed other people in the space, and they all probably said the same thing. I never thought I'd be in this space for 25 years. So being here at DirectTrust really extends our reach and with what they're trying to do here. So Secure Exchange Network is a EtherFAX solution. And what our CTO likes to say is we're both the voice and the data company. And so what that allows us to do, John, is when we have endpoints that are on EtherFAX, we can exchange information, not just fax. Fax is our baseline because we do have an intelligent network. And what we're able to do is the first thing we do in the process is do a dip and see where that endpoint is. And what we're able to do is send it through the internet with 100% reliability. And we have a lot of options we can do because we can send it fully encrypted, full color fax, and it at the highest speeds available out on the market.
Nice. I mean, I think it shows how far we've come, right? From the black and white fax days to full color with 100% reliability or even reliability issues over the years, right? Talk to me about the work EtherFAX is doing alongside a number of other cloud fax providers in the DirectTrust interoperable secure cloud fax standards body. It sounds like a government organization, but it's an important standards body with DirectTrust to really do interoperable secure cloud fax. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of history, especially on my background and why I think it's crucial in answering this question is, I worked for one of the on-premise fax server vendors for years, 17 plus years, probably the largest one. And when I left them, a lot of my colleagues are saying, are you really going to another fax company? And my answer was, no, I'm not. I'm going to a cloud infrastructure as a service, the most secure cloud, the most dynamic cloud. And so the reason I mentioned that in your question is what are we doing with other fax vendors? We have always been purpose-built to do what we call a federation, and DirectTrust, as you know, is the neutral party now doing that. And so what we've asked the partners, our competitors, we've asked them for years, like, do you want to be part of our federation? And I get it, we're a competitor, and so there's been many reasons why they're, why they haven't. But working with these other guys, DirectTrust has done an excellent job of getting everybody together. They're the standards, they act as the mediator, and so what we're able to do is the largest platforms like ourselves are out there. Now we're talking about what these standards should be. Let's play nice together. And again, with DirectTrust, why are we even here? It's it comes down to patient care. And so we partnered with a big document management company, and about a year and a half ago, our case study was actually the gentleman that we were working with, who's the VP of product development there, his father-in-law died because he didn't get the fax in time.
Really?
So again, to answer your question, we all realize as a community, all fax, that we have an obligation, and granted it is technology, but at the end of the day, I think we're all participating with DirectTrust because we do care about patient care.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to remember the patient. I always looked at this from a secure text message standpoint. I always like, why don't these vendors come together and create a standard across each other?
Right.
It's kind of like the same thing, though, applied to fax. Like, why are we sending the fax? Let's create a secure exchange. It sounds like that's what's going on. Talk to us about what the proposed standard will accomplish. Is it this, new infrastructure, or is it a replication of the old? Talk to us about what the standard will accomplish.
Yeah, so again, we're here at DirectTrust, and their standards, so to speak, are always about direct messaging, right? Direct trusted messages. And so they're putting that in as, I would say, the framework. I'm not on the committee, but what I've been told is, some of the three major factors that they're looking for there is identity, encryption, and metadata. And so when I think about those, John, I'm thinking that they're thinking, let's keep it in line with direct messaging because, they have a platform, they have a standard that, we're on the fire committee as well. And so I'm thinking that when they put these standards together, we as an entire entity in the fax solution with our competitors are going to be able to deliver those faxes, securely, faster, so that, again, not to keep harping on it, but, for
patient's benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because if people's direct address was known as much as the fax number, then we would have already solved the problem, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great. So we are huge in the prescription, the pharmacy arena. I just sat in the last session here, and their complaint was, why do we keep getting these, prescriptions? Why aren't we sharing data by, direct messaging? And the reality is, and I told them, I said, listen, we have a smart platform. If you have a direct message address and you want it that way, we will send it that way. But the reality is, they don't have them. And so, it's least common denominator. Everyone has a fax number, right? So I see the evolution going that way. I mean, with TEFCA, those attempts are being made. It's going to be enforced. So, and we're prepared to do it. I mean, we're not saying no, we're only limited to fax. So ETHERFAX has, again, been purpose built from the ground up for that flexibility.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And talk to us about the security angle. It's been a big topic here at the conference. How does this increase the security of eFax?
Yeah, so it does a couple things. One, I mentioned one of the goals is identity, so they're really trying to figure out, who's sending it, who they're sending it to. And then again, built in our network, John, is, again, that's the first process we do, is like who we're sending to. And so now if we can do that as a conglomeration of the service, we're going to be able to make it more secure. And then it's not going to go over any phone lines. I've been told it's going to be network driven. So, we'll put those securities in place, encrypt the payload, or maybe just encrypt the tunnel between them. So it is going to allow for a much more secure delivery.
That's awesome. And how do you think the adoption of this will play out as compared to maybe some of the other interoperability options out there? You mentioned TEFCA and QHINs. It'll be interesting to see how that's adopted. How do you think this standard is going to play out and get adopted by organizations?
Yeah, John, what I'm thinking, I spoke with Mickey from the ASTP, and I asked him that question, on these policies. And, it's our belief that, once the ASTP starts enforcing some of these policies, that's going to drive adoption. The other one is the actual users that are using it. If they have the ability to send a direct message, for instance, a TEFCA message, et cetera, then I think it will take adoption. On the fax side, we're working with this body, and once those standards come to fruition and everyone understands how you can send a secure fax, then I'm believing that that's going to take the direct messaging format as well. So adoption will take place then. I also think that DirectTrust, they said they were working on their direct address book.
Yeah, the directory is a big one.
Yeah, Scott Sue was telling me that, and I think once that comes into place, it's going to be adopted and adhered to much more. But again, it's going to take a while, and it's in process though. So again, it will happen when all these pieces come into place.
Yeah, well, and it's nice that your platform is going to, like the provider doesn't have to think, is it direct, is it fax? Smart platforms like yours are going to do it for them. Is that right?
Absolutely. So again, when I call it an intelligent network, we feel very comfortable in this arena because, we have that technology today. And, with DirectTrust putting in the standards so that everyone plays nicely in the same sandbox. For instance, we're the only provider today who could take an on-premise, a write fax server, send a message securely over the internet to a BizCom server today. So, extending that functionality throughout with our competitors is only going to help the process of, coming up with these standards as well.
That's awesome. Ken, I appreciate you taking time to talk with us and share your insights and perspectives and the evolution of what's happening in the secure exchanging of health data, a really important topic. And thanks everyone for watching and listening. If you want to find more great healthcare IT content like this, be sure to check it out at healthcareittoday.com or search for Healthcare IT Today on your favorite podcasting applications. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, John, very much. I appreciate it.